Now that we've been named a smart city, a look at Columbus's transportation future.
From the Battelle studio at WOSU at COSI, this is a Columbus on the Record special. Joining Mike Thompson this week, Rachel Garshik-Cleet, PhD, Regional Planning Professor at Ohio State University. Rory McGinnis, Deputy Director for the City of Columbus Department of Development. And Thea Walsh, Director of Transportation Systems and Funding at the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission.
Welcome to this Columbus on the Record special. This week we will step off from the news treadmill and take a big picture look at an issue that affects all of us. How do we get around? Get to work, to school, to restaurants, to the stadium, to the arenas. As you have likely heard, Columbus is launching a major project to study and test new transportation systems. The city will spend $140 million in public and private money as part of the Smart City project. It's a pretty futuristic plan, but perhaps the future is now. The city will build and test systems where bus lines bring passengers from, say, Linden to a transit hub near Easton. There, workers would board autonomous vehicles, constantly circling, bringing passengers to their workplaces and shoppers to stores. Another system would allow cars and other vehicles to communicate with each other to avoid or lessen congestion. And another system would allow trucks to automatically find each other to encourage drafting, avoid accidents, and save fuel. Rory McGinnis, you are heading up the Smart Cities project here in Columbus, correct? And what is first? What's the first thing that we will see with this project?
I think the first thing that you'll see is that the intelligent transportation systems and technology related to the bus rapid transit line that COTA is putting in called the CMAX. I think that's where you'll see probably the first items to be completed there. So we would have intelligent street lights that would be in there, be LED street lights, as well as have the ability to have Wi-Fi to increase the Wi-Fi capability in the neighborhood. I think that you'd also see greater safety at the intersections with different technologies that are going to be there, as well as on the buses that COTA is going to be using. Greater ability to detect pedestrians, cyclists, and other objects using both technology that exists from it's called dedicated short-range communications, as well as Mobileye technology.
What's the overall goal of this effort? Is it to make our commutes shorter, to keep us from having to build new highways? What's the overall goal?
So really the overall goal is this. It's to maximize the transportation system that we have currently and the width of the roadways that we have the most efficiently that we can, and to use transportation to be the catalyst to help to solve a lot of our community's most challenging problems, such as infant mortality.
Rachel, can transportation solve infant mortality or play a role in reducing infant mortality? I mean, really, how much of a social impact can a good transportation system have on a community?
Well, if you're in a neighborhood with little access to health care, and maybe it takes you an hour to get to your provider, having an efficient transportation system can definitely help you to get where you need to be. Affordability matters. Being able to access a way to pay for that system also matters. Even if you have a car, it can take quite a while to get to a provider, and then maybe you have to pay for parking or whatever. So having an affordable, efficient system can be good for everybody, not just the pregnant lady. Mm-hmm. You know.
Thea, from a regional planning perspective, what does this mean for folks who live? You mentioned the bus line up at Cleveland Avenue or smart cars in the city. What does it mean to people who live in, say, Dublin, Hilliard, Westerville? How does this fit into the overall plan?
So all the surrounding communities were very supportive of the city and their smart city application. And what that really means is we're all talking at the table on this, and really those shared technologies. So the underlying system, the signal system that the city of Columbus has now, is already branching out into Whitehall and Bexley. And so those safety mechanisms are going, and the intelligent transportation systems are behind the scenes and growing out beyond the Columbus hub. And so that's what it really means for them. It means we're going to be all safer together.
Rory, let's get to the one that catches everyone's attention in this plan is the autonomous vehicles. We know they're out there. We've seen stories of, the Teslas that are driving on their own and things like that. But how far away really are these autonomous vehicles?
So everything that is in the Smart Columbus plan, including autonomous vehicles, is designed to be completed within 4 years. So USDOT, the U.S. Department of Transportation, has basically mandated that they want to get the projects that are in our application done within 4 years.
So will those, we saw the sort of sample buses or vans, what they might look like, would they have their own road? Would they have their own lane? Would they be having to deal with rush hour traffic up in the eastern area?
There would not. They would be on the same roadways that all of our other cars operate on. But they would also have some advantages that other cars don't have. So they would have traffic signal priority, for instance, that would enable them to get their passengers to their places of employment quicker than other vehicles that are on the roadway there. But they will operate on the same streets as all the other cars.
You all probably know autonomous cars and what's going on. Is the technology there for these cars safely to operate safely?
Yes, it's coming very, very quickly. The most recent American Planning Association conference had a whole keynote on technology and how quickly technology is changing, and how we in our regions really need to be getting ready for this huge change. So yeah, it is there, and in 4 years is not an unreasonable timeline for autonomous vehicles to actually be on the road.
And working with our friends at OSU Car and Battelle during this process, they're much more familiar with the technology even than we are. They're understanding that these technologies are on the shelf already, and it's more about the policies and the insurance and those pieces that have to be put together so that these can go onto the street. So really the testing is coming to a close, and now it's time for implementation here.
Are these cars being used anywhere else, Rory?
So there are autonomous vehicles being deployed. Obviously Google has a car that they've been using, Tesla. And in Europe, there's been more of the vehicles that we have been talking about that they've deployed there. So what we're looking at in the eastern area is 12 to 16 passenger vehicles that would be able to transport individuals. And they've been testing those vehicles in Europe.
Okay. We Americans, we love our cars. We in Central Ohio, we really love our cars, and getting commuters to give up the convenience of their own private on-demand transportation is bound to be difficult. Just building a transportation system does not necessarily mean people will use it. Thea Walsh, it's a pain in the neck to have a car. You get stuck in traffic, you got to drive in the snow, they need repairs, but we still have them. How are you going to get people to use public transportation, say, and leave their car at home?
So the first thing is 82% of Central Ohioans use their car alone on their commute. So they ride alone. So that is a big task. But we do have a changing demographic, and we have more people coming into the system. So the system's not going to work if we're all riding alone in our cars. So there's that. There's also a boom in the baby boomers as well as the millennials. And these are folks who are going to want to live closer and more efficient living, which means they're can be closer to their work and to the amenities they want to be close to, as well as just having other options. They're interested in other options. In some cases, they may not want to drive a car at all. So we have a changing demographic as well as a changing regional land use model that's coming our way, and that will help move people from their cars.
So Rachel, just like we had the suburban sprawl, we're going back into the city somewhat.
Yeah.
But there's still suburbs. It's a pretty wide open Central Ohio area. Are we going to, if predictions are true that we have 3 million people in Central Ohio by 2050, an additional 1 million from what we have now, and say half of those people have cars, we're going to have more cars on the road, are we not, in 20 years?
Probably have more cars on the road, but so the question is really, people use transportation when it works for them. when they don't have to wait for it, and when it's comfortable. So in the summer, it has to be air conditioned. In the winter, it has to be heated, not noisy, and it has conveniences and it makes their lives better. So the only way that we're going to get people out of their cars, if we still have 500,000 additional cars on the road, in the way you've talked about, is to make the transportation system so that it actually gets you where you have to go faster than if you were in the car, more comfortably, and hopefully cheaper than the car. And so there are visions of autonomous vehicles being able to go to people's houses, pick them up, and take them to where the transportation is. So you don't have to have a car. This vehicle will show up for you. It's a very different vision of how we live our lives. It's actually a transformative technology. And the more accessible it is, and the cheaper it is, and the high quality it is, the more likely that we'll all adopt it much more quickly.
Roy, we talk about the last mile, and I typify the last mile. There is a bus line that goes from my office, right outside my door, all the way to my neighborhood, but it's a mile from the closest bus stop to my house, which isn't bad. It's a 10-minute walk, 15-minute walk. But I'm not willing to go that mile, especially in the wintertime or when it's raining. How does the Smart City project envision helping that?
So there's a variety of ways that we want to help that. Well, one, with the bus rapid transit line that'll be going in, it will be moving a lot quicker than the current bus line that exists there today. There'll also be a lot more sidewalks that lead to the bus stops that'll make it easier for people to walk there as well. One of the other things, and you touched on before, was the payment of these services. We're going to create a smart pass that could be used on your phone and also from a card that would allow you to pay for all the different transportation options that exist in the city. And so, for instance, if you did have a challenge with getting to that first mile to your bus stop, maybe you would take Uber or you take Lyft to that stop if you had a mobility challenge. Maybe you would use our bike share service that we have, or you would use Car2Go, a car sharing service that we have. So those are all different things that we look at that could help address that first and last mile challenge. And plus the autonomous vehicles is really a great opportunity to do that as well.
Let me play skeptic here. It's still less convenient to use public transportation. I mean, think about how we live our lives. We're trying to get out of the house in the morning. If you have kids, maybe your son or daughter will say, I got to go to school, and I just remembered I have to go to school, or I left my homework at home. You need to come get it, or the dog needs to go out, and you're going to miss that bus. You're going to miss that rideshare car. This is a pretty radical change for people to get out of those habits. The car is so much more convenient to deal with those unforeseen circumstances.
So you need frequent transportation.
Yes.
Right? So if you're going to miss that bus, you don't have to wait long for the next one in order for people to be willing to ride it. That's the only way people will do it in that situation, right?
Yeah.
Or that autonomous vehicle or the Uber, whatever comes for you, that comes when you want it, and it doesn't take a long time. You don't have to wait a half hour for a taxi or whatever. You can hopefully. So it's really about making sure that there's enough of a supply of these kinds of services that people could use them, and it can be convenient. I think that there's always an issue for people who have to go drop off a child and go to work and then go to the grocery store, and that's a problem no matter what kind of transportation you use. But if we have the kind of growth in Central Ohio that we expect, and the communities in Central Ohio are fairly committed to increasing the density of services and infill. So hopefully we'll also see more of those kinds of services closer to where people live. And so we might have a very different looking place in another 15 or 20 years.
Thea, is this an easier sell when gas is $5 a gallon versus $2 a gallon as it is this summer?
It's like you're reading my mind. Absolutely. That's one of the factors. But the car's convenient now, right? I mean, price, of course, is one factor. But when you add in all these people and they're also trying to go to the same place and they're one person in a car, that starts to clog up the roadway and it becomes not as convenient. And then you start looking for other options, and hopefully we make those on market demand. And that's what this really is about, meeting the demand of our transportation market before it gets to that place.
Okay, one thing missing from this Smart City program is rail. For many years, many in Columbus have dreamed of a light rail system, light rail trains crisscrossing the city, Columbus is the largest city in the U.S. without a light rail system. We've heard that many times before. Supporters of rail say the city is missing out. They argue that rail encourages development, makes the city more attractive to young workers. Detractors point to other cities that have spent billions of dollars in light rail, and the ridership has yet to materialize. Rory, why no rail in this proposal, in this project?
Really, the main reason that rail is not a part of this project is that that wasn't part of the grant application that U.S. Department of Transportation had put out there.
So the U.S. Department of Transportation did not want rail.
They didn't specifically say they did not want rail, but if they're looking at a project like this where it's $40 million that they're going to give, that would pretty much the rail would take up all of those dollars available. So they were more focused on how do we deploy connected and autonomous vehicles and other technologies to help to address challenges that we have in our communities.
Is rail an outdated technology? We've heard it's called the 1800s technology, and we shouldn't invest in it anymore.
I don't think it matters. I think rail is more expensive, but I've also traveled the world and seen cities that have amazing BRT systems. Bogota, Colombia has an amazing system. And you get to these platforms, and it's like you're riding a light rail. It has a dedicated platform, a dedicated street. It runs like a light rail system.
I mean, the bus.
The bus runs like a that's it runs, and it's treated in that way, but it's a less expensive infrastructure. And I think to really think about the land use in Central Ohio, we're very spread out land use. And a train assumes that there's a lot of density in a particular place, or there's going to be a lot of density in a particular place that people are going to go to. We don't have that land use system. So we need a different solution, one's a little more flexible because of the change, also because of the diffuseness and how spread out we are. We also will have a very different, perhaps, land use system, land use changes in the next 20 years than we do now, because we might have a lot of inflow. And if we have a rail system, we can, it might be that might be right in the right spot. But if we have the BRT, it might be more flexible for us in some ways. So I think it's not that rail is outdated, it's just that we're a younger city in that way, and we're a city that has developed through suburban expansion, and that may require a different kind of system.
Thea, is rail dead for Central Ohio? Will we ever see light rail here, intra-city rail?
I don't really know that that's the case. We've identified several high-capacity corridors working with CODA, the city, and all of the regional partners around the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission table. And right now it's just a kind of determining, based on the growth we have come in and the density, what mode will be the best. Will it be BRT on a certain line, or will it be rail? And it just depends on that density. Will we grow to that density? And working with CODA on their next gen planning, as well as Connect Columbus and their thoroughfare planning, we're getting down to the bottom of that in the next couple of years.
What about, the stigma of the bus? The bus is known as low-income transportation, where rail is more professional transportation. Can we get over that stigma in Columbus, any city where everybody wants to ride the bus?
I think we can, and I think that's already happening. If you look at the success of the C-Bus circulator, you have professionals that ride that every single day.
This is the bus that goes around downtown.
Exactly, and I think that's been a tremendous success. I think what you'll see with Bus Rapid Transit when that's implemented is that people will see that this is a very efficient way for them to get to where they want to go at a very reduced cost. And I think that will help reduce any type of stigma that people associate with transit.
The line branding makes a big difference.
The line, what do you mean by that, line branding?
Well, so they called it C-Bus, and then people were like, oh, I want to get on the C-Bus. It's not CODA, it's C-Bus, And I think with the C-Max line, it's all about the image of that new line. And really, this is a product. It's not just government moving people around anymore.
Rachel, getting back to trying to encourage people to get out of their cars. I live in the northwest part of the city where there's a huge interchange being built, reconfigured. Folks in Worthington know all about highway construction. Should we just stop building new interchanges and make it more convenient for people to drive on the outer belt, to drive on 70 and 71? Because the cities where public transportation really works is where you can't get around by car.
That's right.
So should we stop, to encourage people to get out of their cars, should we stop building highways, or at least maintain the ones we have, but don't build any more?
That's a really good question. And I think the issue is, can we use the highways we have more efficiently? Not do we build more or not. We can't build our way out of traffic. Because if you build more capacity, then you just fill that capacity. Because people are making decisions all the time about whether they should be using that highway. They get to the highway, they look, is it clear? I'll go on. And the next person says, is it clear? I'll go on. And then finally someone gets to the highway and says, oh, it's not clear, I'll do a different route. And we're making these decisions all the time.
It's like water. Traffic is like water.
Traffic, well, I guess you could call
Goes
it
the
water.
easiest course, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's also this idea that there's a supply of transportation on a highway. So a supply of transportation would be, you have a lot of supply at 1 a.m. No one is using the highway at 1 a.m., very few people. But at rush hour, there's a lot of demand, and you don't have, there's not a lot, the supply is limited at that time. So the question is, how do we better use the highways we have? In some places in the United States, they have demand pricing for highways. I've heard it said that, so that the users of those highways can decide where to go, and making alternative transportation methods viable helps to also reduce that demand for the highway.
Rory, does the Smart City project take a stand on, say, the I-71 70 split reconfiguration? That's in the works. It hasn't really started. Some of it started, but do they say hold off on that until we get this system set?
Not at all. Yeah, that's something that needs to be done. It's something that we hope is done soon. We've programmed capital dollars for that. It doesn't contemplate that. What it does contemplate, though, is how do we reconnect our neighborhoods better? And that's one of the great things that we've been able to do so far with the improvements that we have made to I-71. If you look at the Cultural Wall and the Long Street Bridge and the dramatic impact that that's had on the community, you can see how we've used transportation to reconnect communities and do that in a very creative and impactful way.
Does Morpsey have a stance on future highway construction, widening, the outer belt down south, or changes to 670 to lessen construction?
I mean, we certainly do look at the transportation demand modeling for the future, and really it's all about kind of a multimodal mix. So it's not that we won't be doing highway expansion, it just needs to be strategic and really utilizing it to its capacity. And so that's where we approach these things.
Rachel, the political pressure to expand highways is great, though. I mean, it's a lot of jobs. People who ride that highway all the time, they want a shorter commute. So that's something that, again, the cultural change, we're talking about people getting out of their cars. We need to get political leaders to say, we don't need that extra lane on the outer belt. We don't need that extra ramp on the outer belt. How hard is that?
Well, I think it's that one has to consider where the money's coming from and how we in Central Ohio negotiate what our roads look like with the state, which is running that system, which is actually investing in that system. And so we have a real vision in Central Ohio of where we're going and what we want to do. And those visions arise out of many different plans, from Insight 2050 to the various transportation plans that are around, the Smart Cities Challenge. These all are visions. And so we in Central Ohio have to communicate that in terms of what is going on here, because we're not talking about today. And we're not even talking about 2 years. We're talking about what kind of community do we want to live in 20 years.
So this is where this is about flexibility, it seems. Buses, autonomous cars, wireless communication, you can move that stuff around pretty easily. So you're trying to be flexible.
Absolutely.
That's the theme throughout this.
Flexibility is definitely one. It's what we talked about before. It's really the optimization of the current system that we have. And you're going to see there's always going to be a need for new sidewalks and more roads and things to be built. But I think what you're really going to see as we move into the future is how do we use technology to make that system that we currently have as efficient as it can be.
All right. As is our tradition here on Columbus on the Record, we offer our off-the-record parting shots, predictions, some final thoughts. And today we're asking our panelists to summarize in, say, 20 seconds or so what Columbus transportation will look like in 10 years. And Thea, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so more people, more technology, and more options for everybody.
Wow. Rory.
I would say that you're going to see our transportation system become much more autonomous, much more electrified, and much safer. And I think that you're also going to see in the next 10 years how we've used technology to help to address some of our deepest city challenges like infant mortality.
And
Well, I think in 10 years, I think we're going to see a broader array of people using the bus system, using transit. And I think we'll have a much more rich, let's say, kitchen sink of ways of doing, of meeting the needs for mobility in our community.
are traffic jams ever going to go away?
No.
I mean, not accident-caused traffic jams, but congestion-caused traffic jams. Are they
No.
ever going to go away?
No.
Peak hour is always going to be an issue.
So no technology, no autonomous fleet is going to change that.
No, but they could be much improved from where they are today.
You could have cars being much closer together on these highways, so we'd actually wring out more capacity from them. But we probably will always increase demand.
And the system will now tell you how to get around it a little better. And so that's up to you to be more informed.
All right, exciting times. That is Columbus on the Record for this week. We urge you to check us out online. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Our website is wosu.org/COTR. And of course, you can watch us on demand anytime at our website and through the WOSU Public Media mobile app, so you can see us on your smartphone or your tablet. For our panel and our crew, I'm Mike Thompson. Have a good week.